Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of From the Heart. It's your host, Chloe Trca. And today's episode, we are bringing the energy as much as we can. You guys bear with me. I mean, the whole reason of the energy lowness, I was going to say outage, but I'm going to bring it no matter what, because I love you guys and I adore you guys and I appreciate you guys. And I owe that to you. But this whole entire episode is just going to be about the power of putting yourself out of your comfort zone, making a change, making a move, and just some like tidbits on moving in general. If you are moving soon or it's been on your heart to want to move across town into a new place, a place of your own, across the country, as I did a year ago, whatever it is, I'm going to try to hit a lot of different points. Again, this kind of comes from the heart, but I've been very, very busy the last week. It's Sunday night again, and I'm busting through this podcast. I deep cleaned my old apartment this morning after church. Had to go to the early service, and since Tuesday, so it's Sunday, I guess Tuesday night, the boys got home from Alaska, my boyfriend and brother, and they started moving Wednesday. So I moved my boyfriend out of his place Wednesday. We deep cleaned his place Thursday, moved my brother into their place Friday. And then yesterday, I moved into my place. So keep in mind, when you're moving in, there's also a pre-move-in, so you're packing everything. And it's just been madness. It's been madness. And then unpacking, organizing, getting used to a new space, a new environment. It's a lot of change. Especially, I am across the country. I'm originally born and raised in Iowa, if you guys didn't know, if you're new here. And so is my brother. And literally exactly a year ago, Tuesday, we moved across the country to Arizona. We are in like the Phoenix, the Valley area. I never really share what exact like suburb I live in, just for privacy and security reasons, obviously. So a lot of people ask me that. I just refer to the Valley, and that's kind of what I'll always say, because we do hippity hop around. We were in the boonies. We were all the way East Mesa previously, like we just moved out of there. And if you guys aren't familiar with the Valley, like practically Apache Junction, if you know like geographically cities in the area. I didn't realize that when we first moved here. Backtrack, I guess. Let me just explain why we moved. So I don't know. I think it was on my heart without realizing it was heavy on my heart to move, because I feel like I was outgrowing myself's version of like Iowa. Like, I'm from a smaller town. It's not like a small town, but it's smaller. And I was outgrowing myself in that area. I wasn't outgrowing the people, because I think everyone continues to grow. Maybe you can outgrow certain people, but that wasn't the reason I left. It was like I had reached like my maximum potential that I saw myself in that city. I just felt called to move. I felt called to get out. Definitely was from God. I just wasn't that faithful yet. I was, but not to the point I am now to be aware that like that was God pushing me. And I strongly believe if I would have been more faithful, I think timing is everything. Divine timing happens. But I guess I just didn't realize it was so much of a calling, especially now being here. I have gotten so tapped into my church community. It's been amazing. But anyway, I just felt this like pull and this push, and I was so scared. But it all coincidentally worked out, because the reason we moved was my brother and I, at the time, he was in college. He was in community college playing baseball. I was finishing up, like I was in my last year of college. And I was like commuting to college because I didn't want to live in Iowa City. I went to the University of Iowa. I didn't like ever enjoy the college campus vibe. It wasn't for me. College was not for me. So I commuted. I was living in like the downtown city area, like in one town over from my parents where I grew up. Had kind of all the same friends, kind of knew everyone in the town. And same goes for my brother, but he was in a community college like a couple hours away. So he was getting his first taste of like being away from home. This was his second year of community college. And we both, so that last year, his second year of college, my fourth, or no, it would have been his first year maybe. Yeah, sorry. Maybe he was only a freshman. Right, he was, because he never got his, yeah. So, he was in his first year, my bad. And that Christmas, we took a family trip. My parents and my brothers and I came to Arizona, and we stayed here for 2 weeks. And I don't know, something about being here, something about being in the sunshine when it's December, being with my family, I felt so at peace. I was so excited. I've always enjoyed visiting Arizona. This is like the one city we always kind of did travel to as a family. We didn't travel much growing up other than like sports. And this was like one that was like a flight away, rather than like a road trip. And I always loved it. And I had my grandpa and my grandma, my dad's parents, like, had a place here that they would winter for, like, so many years, like 40 years, I think. And, excuse me, sorry, the yawns are probably going to come out during this episode. They probably will, so I apologize. But, so, they'd come here, and then my uncle, so my dad's brother, also had a place here, and we would come visit him occasionally as well, or, like, kind of bounce around. And so I was familiar with the East Mesa area because that's where my uncle has a place, and, that's kind of where we started our search for apartments. So that's kind of how we landed there. But I don't know. I guess just the more my brother and I were, like, here together, because 2 weeks is a pretty long time. I had one of my best friends, Taylor, fly in, and Jake had a friend, and it was so much fun. And my brother and I were like, what if we moved here? Like, what if we just did it? And I kind of was, like, joking because I was at the position as well, too, where my lease was up in May, and, like, you graduate in May. So I was like, okay, I need to make a move. Like, am I going to buy a house in Iowa? Am I going to move in with, like, a friend? Am I going to get a roommate? Am I going to release another apartment? I just didn't know, but I knew I needed to start making a decision at this point coming January. So I had a few months, like 5 months. But if you're going to house hunt and buy a house, like, you need time, you know? So my wheels were turning. And my brother was away from school for a little bit, and I think he realized how much he didn't enjoy it, and he was actually getting injured. So he injured his elbow, I believe, or shoulder. I think it was his elbow. Baseball, that makes sense. But he was like, I can't even play. Like, I don't want to just not play the next year and go to school. Like, he was looking at community colleges here while we were here. He's like, I could just do online school and move down here with you and get into real estate. And I was like, I have no reason to stay in Iowa. I was in a relationship. Not that I don't know. That's hard to say. I don't want to speak and say that because maybe I would have, but, you know, God knew, and it was not time for me to have a relationship because maybe I would have stayed. But I had nothing holding me to Iowa other than my family, and I knew that they were very supportive. It was obviously hard for everyone because we're a very tight-knit, very close family, but they wanted to see us succeed and wanted what's best for us. And everyone, like my extended family and everyone, knew that, like, that would be a really great thing for my brother and I to do. And I had my brother to go with me. Honestly, I don't know if I would have made the move alone, to be honest. It's scary, and I don't think I had the courage then. I hadn't tapped into that level of uncomfortableness and the bravery and courage that takes. So if you do and you are, hats off to you, because that's amazing, because that's so scary. I was scared to move with my brother. Like, I was so scared that I kept renting a house with my friend for 6 more months because I was going to bounce back and forth, because I'm like, what if I don't like Arizona? I hate being stuck places I don't like. And so I was scared to commit to moving all the way here. And honestly, too, I didn't want to leave her. There was parts of me that still wanted to stay in Iowa because I feel like that was part of me, part of my content, part of who I was. I identified as being, like, an Iowa girl. I felt like I was more relatable and I was more myself. But I was like, you know what? If people are going to follow along my journey, like, this is a part of my journey. I'm outgrowing Iowa, and I kind of had that understanding those first 6 months. So, yeah, I guess it all kind of fell into place because I was like, I have nothing holding me back. Jake had nothing holding him back. He was also single and didn't want to go back to school, kind of hated school, but he was like, I'll finish online. And so we kind of just joked about it, and then the jokes turned into, like, wait, are you serious? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of serious. And then we'd be bored, we'd look up apartments, and then we were, you know, you start seeing it, and then it just becomes more real, and you believe, like, you actually start to see it and understand that it's possible, and, like, why not? And so we did it, and we just kind of did it. I actually, it's kind of a crazy, like, it's sad, but we were at my grandma's funeral, and that's when we actually started telling people, like, for the first time we were doing it, and that's when it was, like, real, because we were catching up with a lot of family, extended family. They're like, what's new? What's next? You know, and my brother's like, oh, Chloe and I are gonna move to Arizona, and I was like, oh, we are? For sure? Like, that's really happening? And so that's kind of what led us here. We both just loved the city. There was no reason to come here other than we just love it here. And let me tell you, I'm through my first summer, and it's hotter than hot, but you can get through it. You know, I'll take a bad 3 months of heat in Arizona and have an amazing 9 months of the rest of the year, rather than, like, 3 good months in Iowa and the rest are brutal and miserable. I know my Midwest girlies understand what I'm saying. So anyway, fast forward to that, my brother and I moved here, and it has just been amazing. I've talked about it a lot on here. I've told a lot of stories. We've met a lot of people. As you guys have seen, if you follow along, like, I have changed a lot since being here, and I used to be so scared of change. I used to be so hesitant to make change. I used to fear the what ifs. I used to fear like loneliness, but God has put me through every phase of my life so intentionally and in the right time. Like before I met my best friend Taylor, I had a season where I was like transitioning my friend groups solely not due to the people, but due to my interest. I was noticing I was pulling away from like going out or doing certain things, and I wanted to start doing I wanted to start going to church. I wanted to start tapping into other areas of work, and my interests and hobbies were changing, and with that comes new friends and new people. And so I went through a season of my life too where I felt very lonely and alone, and I have a whole episode on solitude versus loneliness, and that's a really good one. I recommend you guys looking back at that and listening. If you do feel like you're alone right now, or you feel lonely, or you love the like alone stage, like I grew to love it. I almost grew to love it too much. And my mom was actually like, okay, Chloe, maybe you should get a roommate. Maybe you should, because I was single. I had like a few friends, but I didn't have like, I don't know, I didn't really have any responsibility. It was just kind of me. And I think she feared that I become too like self-absorbed, and thank God that she brought that up, because I don't want to be like that. So but I went through a season of that, and it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me how I can depend on myself and how I am confident and I can be independent and I can do things on my own, because again, I dated somebody from 14 to 20, and that, not that I regret that one bit, but it created a false sense of like independence. I thought I was independent and I was not. Like that, getting out of that relationship and being on my own for the first time. I was living alone. I didn't have a boyfriend for the first time. I realized how much I depended on other people for things, and it's okay to like lean on people, and it's good to have a man in your life to lead you, but I needed to figure my own stuff out before that, and I just wasn't ready, and God knew that. And so he really worked on me. He really worked on me that year. It's cool because I feel like every year there's been like different, not even every year, maybe every couple months, there's different things I learn. I mean, every week on this podcast, I have a new topic solely based on what I learned the previous week. So that just goes to show how much growth happens in a day even. So it's just been really cool to like watch myself progress, because now looking back, like I wish I could have told myself a year ago, like do it, like look at you now. Like I just got my own place, you guys. Right now I'm like this new environment. I forgot to kind of bring that up if you're watching this episode, because you can watch it on YouTube. If you didn't know, if you're just listening, you can watch it. Still setting up, trying to figure out the setup. I mean, I literally moved in 24 hours ago. I barely have things settled. I want to get like a cooler actually podcast setup. I have a second bedroom, and I was going to turn it into part bedroom because there's a king bed in there, so it's kind of full, but I want to make it like a podcast studio. I don't know. I have a lot of different ideas. I want to like level it up for the filming, but again, I'm in my own place. I'm in a city that I love. Like looking out my window right now puts the biggest smile on my face. Like I've been getting emotional the past day just because I'm like, wow, I love it here. I'm so happy I'm here, and it's taken a lot. It's been a journey, and it's just, I think I even get more emotional knowing like this was my dream at one point, and like dreams do come true, and I need to keep dreaming bigger, because it's like, what's next? Not that I'm not appreciative and I'm not grateful, but it's like, it allows your mind to like expand to being like, okay, like this once seemed not even possible, and here we are at 23. I just turned 23 like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, what's next? Like, what else can we achieve? What else can we unlock? So that's something I'm gonna have to like think on and pray on and figure out for the next year coming, because it gets me excited. But no, I've just like never been happier. I really haven't. Obviously I have bad days, I have bad weeks, I have bad moments still to this day. Like that's never probably going to change. That's just life. But I think because I've built my relationship with Christ, and I've built a really solid community of people that I can lean on and go to, and everyone in my life pushes me to be better. And I think this is the first time I've really had people in my life hold me accountable and be honest and raw with me. And I mean, it's all people in my church, I'm going to be honest. Like, it has changed my life so much. But like my boyfriend Kyler, he's been on here a lot. I talk about him in probably every single episode, but like he's been so impactful in my life, because he calls me on stuff, you guys. Like we have really good, deep, hard conversations, but I've grown so much from them and learned so much about myself. And like, that's the power of having good people in your life. But anyway, there was just so much to unlock here, but it's just like, sorry, here's another yawn. But what I'm saying is just like, I wish I could have told myself a year ago when I was having that like the nervous thoughts and the what ifs and whatever. I wish I could reassure her, but it's really cool because that was like the first encounter. That was the first time I really encountered Christ, and I had my God moment, and I felt the presence of like the Holy Spirit, and I felt God close to me. I was definitely growing. This was not the peak in my faith journey, but I was definitely like getting more into it, and I was praying more, and I was reaching out to him and leaning on him more. But this move, like, I was scared. I was scared it was going to be a mistake. I was scared I was going to regret it. I was scared I was going to be here and not like the city, not make any friends, just be depressed. Like, I didn't want to, like, I was at a pretty good level, and I knew I could be better. That's the thing. I knew I could be better, but what I was doing was fine. I was comfortable. I was comfortable. That's what this whole podcast is about. I was comfortable. So I could have stayed, but I was so scared that moving would drop me and I would be like down bad, and I was so nervous that making this decision would set me down, because I'm like, I'm pretty good. Like, I was comfortable, but I was at a pretty decent like level with where I wanted to be in my life. But I was like, I have so much more to give, and I had to bet on myself. I had to trust in myself. I had to pray to God and be like, is this right for me? And I'm telling you guys, like, he will put something in your heart. You can't dismiss it. Like, it will keep coming up. It will happen. Like, he already has the path paid for you. Like, it's kind of your destiny, So making the decision, just like knowing Arizona, I had my brother there. The timing of our leases matched up perfectly. Like, everything was coming out perfect. And when I pray about it and I think about it, I was scared, but I wasn't nervous and I wasn't anxious. And I don't know how else to explain the difference. Like, I don't know if you can comprehend the fact that I was obviously nervous because it was something different and new and it was out of my comfort zone, but I wasn't anxious. I didn't have anxious feelings. I had a lot of peace. I had a lot of peace about moving here, and it was really crazy. And I prayed for like a God sign. Mine was a red cardinal. I've told this story so many times, but this was right after I was moving out of my apartment. I think it was like the week I was moving out of my apartment. I actually moved in with my friend Taylor for that summer because we moved in August, and my lease was up in like June 1st. So I like lived with her for 2 months, and I went on a run on this random trail, and I remember being pretty stressed that week because I was moving. I think we were signing our lease too, actually, for this place. We had like signed it because because is it Labor Day or Memorial Day? That's right before summer. I think Labor Day, right? And then Memorial Day is coming up. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. I should know that because I'm an American citizen, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm blanking. Labor Day, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway, that weekend we were here touring apartments, my dad, my brother, and I. And so then June 1st, it's like right after that, and that's when we had to sign our lease and I was moving out. And so I remember just being really anxious, being a little stressed out, being like, am I making the right decision? Like, God, please, praying. And I just felt called to go on this trail. I just had a desire to go run on this trail. I've never ran on a trail in my life. I listened to a lot of true crime, so I knew probably wasn't a great idea, but I just was like, I want to go run this route. I was training for a half marathon. Or maybe I was just getting back into running, honestly. I don't think I was training for anything. And that's the weirdest part. I wasn't even training for anything. I just wanted to go on a 5-mile run for some reason. I wanted to go run. And so I go to this trail I'd never been to. I lived there my whole life, never ran on this trail. Get out and I start running, run 2.5 miles down. And I'm like really enjoying this run. Like, I am in nature. You get the runner's high, you get a little sunshine on you. It's early June. It's still nice out. It's not too hot. And I was loving it. And I was really feeling like gratitude. I was feeling a lot of gratitude, and I was thinking about the move, and it was helping me, process it, and I was feeling better about it, and it was really weird. So I was coming back. Oh my gosh, the yawns, you just stop. I'm so sorry. I'm running on like no sleep. But I was coming back on this run, and there was like a little park bench on the side, and I was like, oh, I should stop and like take some photos on my phone for like an Instagram post or whatever. And I'm like, no, like, I have half a mile left of this 5-mile run. Like, I'd rather just, like, get it over with and then I can take a photo later. But I was like, no, I remember seeing a bench on the way there. I passed a bench because I saw a guy sitting on it, and so I noticed it. And so, like, no, like, if I pass by, like, maybe I'll just stop and take the photo. I did stop. I ended up stopping, and it was funny because I, like, really didn't want to, but I just did. And prop my phone up there, and I'm like taking photos, and then I was about to take off running, and then I was like, no, I'll do one more set of photos because I didn't really like the ones I took. And so I took some more, and I kid you not, I no more checked like the phone, put it in my little pouch, running pouch thing, looked up, and a cardinal flies right in front of me, and I was like, that's my sign. I was like, and within the split second, you guys, this happened like so fast, but right as I saw it and registered what it was, I'm like, that's just a coincidence. Like, I'm in nature. Obviously there's birds out here. The second this bird flies by me and I think coincidence, another cardinal flies by, and I'm like, that was God being like, who do you think you are thinking that's like coincidence, you know? I don't believe in coincidences since that day. I don't think anything's a coincidence. So I don't know. That was just like a moment where I was like, whoa, like God is telling me that this is the right thing to do. That was my sign. That was him being like, Chloe girl, trust yourself and trust in me, have faith. And I did. And here I am now. And I just wish I could tell that version of myself. But at the same time, I don't wish I could tell her, just because the not knowing was the process of me having to dig it up and learn myself, you know, and get to know myself. And I think there's so much beauty in the journey. But it's crazy to think back. And I could tell her, like, Chloe, you've never been happier. You met the man of your dreams. You found an amazing church. Like, the church I go to is like kind of like a big mega famous church. Like, people like zoom in and the pastors are like very well known. Like, I'm so grateful that I can go to that church every Sunday and every Thursday and get involved in that church. Like, the people there are so amazing. I feel so blessed in that, and I've just created the most amazing people, and I've made really great connections with people here, and I've grown so much. Like, it's been so good for me to get out of my comfort zone. And it's built a confidence in me. It's brought so much growth. It's taught me so many lessons. Being away from home, it's taught me like independence. But then meeting my boyfriend now, like, it's taught me having a relationship with the foundation being Christ and God and our faith. It's taught me to like have a man lead me and like be a woman of God and serve him, but like serve our relationship. And my expectations for how a man treats me have skyrocketed for the better. Oh my gosh, my standards now that I look back are so low. Like, just every like ounce of your life changes when you move. And whether that's like 15 minutes down the road, 45 minutes down the road, whether that's across the country, a different country, like, if you feel called, if it's on your heart and you feel peace about the decision, go. And if it's not on your heart, but you're hearing this and you're like, you know what? I feel like I'm comfortable here. I think I need to change. I need to push myself out of my comfort zone. What do you have to lose? If there's if there's no reason, like, I'm grateful my job is remote and I can pretty much work from anywhere. And I took advantage of the opportunity. If you can, do it. Even if you have to quit your freaking job. I know it sounds crazy, but most of my listeners, you guys are probably pretty young. We're early in our careers. People change career paths all the time. See if they have a different location. Maybe your company has like a different, you know, hub somewhere else. Like, move to a new city. Like, in your 20s, in your early 20s, like, I want everyone to experience this because it has been life changing. And most people in like the Phoenix area are like transplants. Like, there's not a lot of Native Americans, like native Arizonians. Like, you know what I'm saying? People aren't born and raised here. Most people come here. And so being able to meet people and hear their experiences, like, that is a testimony in itself. Like, so many people are here because they choose to be. They want to be here. And that's going to be in every city. Every city you go to, like bigger cities, like, a lot of people weren't born and raised there. A lot of people move there, you know? But it's just so good for you. It's so good for you because we get so caught up in our comfort zone. And, you know, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And if you go and you hate it, at least you tried and you learned, like, that's not for me. You're going to learn something regardless, though. You're going to learn something about yourself. It's going to force you out of your comfort zone, and it's going to like unlock a new level of being like, okay, well, I had the guts to move across the country. Maybe that city wasn't for me. I want to go home. I feel called to be home. I'm meant to be where I'm grown, like born and raised. That's okay. Like, there's no shame in that. That's perfectly fine. But I think there's like the not trying because you're scared. That's something you shouldn't do, you know? But you'll learn something about yourself, you know? And then having that confidence, knowing you can put yourself in a situation like that and still survive and be okay and have the courage to come back, like, that's going to build confidence for you to go do something else greater. Like, everything's intentional. And like my friend Taylor, she moved to Florida. She moved to like the Tampa area for a year when I first met her, and she did not like it and she moved home, and that's fine. But she learned so much throughout that process, and it's got her to where she is today, you know? And again, everything's purposeful. Everything has a meaning behind it. Everything has a reason, good or bad. But I just really encourage you guys, like, if you are considering, if you feel it in your heart, if you just want to try something new, like pray about it, think about it, make sure you feel peace. Like I don't really recommend like, just winging it, because it's a big deal. Like you're uprooting your entire life. But if that's how you float and that's how you rock, I guess go for it. If I gave steps of encouragement or recommendations, I would say visit the city, see how you like it, envision yourself living here. Like when Jake and I were here, we were envisioning what it would be like to live here, like what area we like what shopping malls we would go to and grocery stores and gyms. And I was picturing myself, I was visualizing myself driving my car here and like driving to and from. And like, you'll know, like thinking of that, if you can picture yourself doing it, because like I do that even now. Like I'm not stuck in Arizona. Like maybe I'll go somewhere else. I love it now. It's serving me now, and I'm not going to leave, but I feel called to be here. And that's another thing too. If we want to like get more, me getting comfy for this part. If we want to get more like Christian perspective, the difference between like what your flesh wants and what your soul wants, like what your soul wants and like your heart is what God wants, but your flesh is probably telling you something different. And a lot of times, like, for example, I don't want y'all to think I'm hating on Miami, but it's just like big party crazy city that I think of. There's actually really beautiful places, wholesome, healthy areas in Miami. My best friend Kayla Elledge, she lived in Miami. She lived in one of those. She wasn't a party girl, but I'm just using this as a frame of reference. But a lot of people's flesh probably would want to move to Miami. It's fun. There's a lot of rich, crazy people. There's beautiful oceans. You're like famous people. It's just the new hoppin' poppin' city. Everyone's moving to Miami. That's probably what your flesh wants, but reflect on what your heart and your soul wants. Where does your heart and soul desire to be? Where do you feel called to be? Where are you drawn to, like truly drawn to, not the like eye-catching part of it, like the attractive, the outsideness of the city. Like, where do you feel called to be? Where do you think you can serve yourself, serve others? Think about that, because like that's me when I go to like Orange County, California. I went there for my birthday. Laguna, Newport, Huntington Beach. I love it. I don't know many people who don't love it. That's like one of the most desired places in the country to live. It's one of the most expensive places to live for clear, obvious reasons. But it's like, obviously my flesh wants that, but do I feel called to move there? No. Right now, no. Maybe in a year. I'm praying on it actually, because I was there and I'm like, what? I really like want to live here, but it doesn't make sense right now. It doesn't feel right to do that right now, but maybe one day it will. And so that's like something where I'm like having faith in it and trusting God and being obedient to him and not falling into what my flesh wants, because that's not the route God has planned for you, So that might not go as well. So I'm just really recommending to like pray on it and like really channel like how you feel on the inside about the decision. But if it's just fear stems from the devil, I'm telling you, okay? And if you just don't have peace about it, that's from God being like, rethink that, really reflect on that, So anyway, I just couldn't be happier. I am just so grateful. Like, I could bring me to tears. Like, I've made like little clips and TikToks in here, and just even filming a morning routine today, I'm like, I feel so at home here. It feels so homey. It feels way more homey than my last place. And I lived with my brother and I loved that. That made it feel like home. But like this like actual apartment, I've been in here for, like I said, 24 hours. So I already know. When you know. But like there's carpet in the bedrooms. It just feels cozy. It's homey. I have my first ever walk-in closet and walk-in bathroom in the master. Life-changing. Jake got the master in our last place because I was originally, like I said, supposed to move between the two. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be here part-time, like you can have the biggest room, obviously. But now I got my own and I get the master and I love it. And it's just so much fun. And I'm just so excited for this new chapter. And like I said, like that's why I'm so excited, because just reflecting on the last year, like Jake and I were like, wow, like today we're deep cleaning my old apartment and it's empty and we're in there, we're cleaning, and we were just looking at each other and we were like, isn't it crazy how fast that year went? And like, look at us now. Like, look at us now. We are different. When I say I'm different, that man, like, not that it's competition, but like he 10 times me. Like he has made landslides of change for the better. And I'm so proud of him. But it's like, who would have thought, So we were like, where will we be in a year from now? You know, it's so crazy to think how much can change. So it's really exciting, and I'm very grateful, like I said, to be here and for you guys listening. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world. Couldn't do without you. Couldn't be here without you, or the man above. So anyway, I hope this was encouraging to anyone who's considering moving. Or maybe it's stirring, planting a seed, you know, being like, maybe I am too comfortable here. Maybe I need to start thinking about maybe getting out of here, maybe trying something new, even if it's like a new apartment or a new home or a new, like, you know, just a new change of scenery is really refreshing, let me tell you. Like, I'm really inspired in this new place to like film and create and be getting my stuff done. I'm on my grind again, and I'm really excited. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.